you everybody for coming for the business meeting to hear about the state of SIO. So we will each take you through different bits of what's happening. So this is our executive committee and we are all here on the dais. So it's a great opportunity for you to pin us down and ask us all sorts of questions. So as a reminder of our mission, our values, and our goal, our mission is to advance evidence-based, comprehensive, integrative healthcare to improve the lives of people affected by cancer. We value evidence-based practice. We are very interdisciplinary, and we also focus on being patient-centered or patient-oriented in our approach. And I don't know, we actually, this is an aside, have talked about redoing a strategic planning exercise potentially in the next couple of years, because I think we want to add in things around diversity and health equity as well. So our long-term goal is to make integrative oncology part of standard care. And that's actually the theme of our conference next year. So this year, we have a process every year where we have a retreat of the board of trustees and all the co-chairs of the different entities every year at the annual meeting. And we talk about all the different projects and we try and kind of boil it down into a few key priorities that we can focus on. So the priorities we identified last year at the retreat were to work on membership development and globalization, to really enhance our partnerships with a variety of sort of credible, high-level oncology-based organizations. We put a lot of effort and focus into our guidelines, and also to support health equity. And we'll hear about each of those committees as we go along. Okay, who's going? Do you want me to do this bit? And then, okay. So in terms of our membership benefits, I did actually outline this last night if you were there. The things in green are new, and a lot of that is around our partnerships and our guidelines. So this year we have established formal partnerships with the Journal Oncology and the Cancer Network website. I encourage you all to check out that website. Actually, there's lots of content that we provide as an organization to that website. And also we've published 2 articles from the research committee in the Oncology Journal over the last year on patient-reported outcomes and how to choose and measure them in pain and also in fatigue. We have, if you don't know already, we have a partnership with the Journal of Integrative and Complementary Medicine, where as an SIO member, you can get a subscription to that journal at a discounted rate. Also, if you get a paper accepted there to publish, you can get a discount on open access fees to make your work more accessible. We also have a partnership with the Gateway Foundation for Cancer Research, where they have a stream for integrative oncology grants. And this is a really good place to start for people who are just getting going on your research careers, maybe new investigators, where they have smaller grants. And we help provide reviewers that have the relevant expertise to review the grants so that you will hopefully get a fair assessment of your work. In terms of the guidelines, as I said, this has been a big project that's been funded for 5 years from the Samueli Institute at $500,000, basically $100,000 per guideline. We're trying to squeeze a few more in, perhaps. And so this has been in the works actually for a few years. And finally, we have had our very first guideline published, which is the pain guideline. And so it's a joint ASCO, that's American Society of Clinical Oncology, SIO guideline, published in the flagship journal of ASCO, the Journal of Clinical Oncology, with all the panel members who participated as co-authors on the guideline. So that's it there. You can find it. I think if you can see it, I think there's a link there. It's open access. It comes also, if you go to the ASCO site, there's lots of materials that come along with the journal article around dissemination. So there's actually a slide deck that anyone can download and use. There's like 1-page PDF kind of infographic summaries. There's all sorts of clinician-friendly materials. So really encourage everybody in the society to do your part to disseminate these guidelines, to make them top of mind for anybody working on pain management. So we're super excited that that's come out. We've also got a ton of media. I wonder if do we have a link to all that on our website? I don't know if we do. In terms of all the guideline stuff.
Yes, it's on the website.
Yeah, definitely the guidelines themselves, but I'm wondering about the media stuff too.
But we have links to the other types of the patient-friendly brochure.
Yeah, for sure. And so I would also look on, it's doing very well on social media. So if you come across it or you follow at Integrative Onc, you can share a lot of the social media stuff around the pain guideline, because we really want to very broadly get that out. And that's actually some of our focus in the coming year is going to be around dissemination of guidelines. So the anxiety depression guideline is coming along. Actually, we have just finalized all the recommendations, and we're moving into the open comment period, which means that any organization or individual can take a look at the recommendations and make comments on your input or your feedback, which will come back to the panel before we move on to publication and writing the paper. So we're hoping to get that all done and published early next year. We also have people on the fatigue guideline that's being led by ASCO. So whereas we led pain and anxiety and depression, ASCO is leading fatigue, but we do have 3 people on the fatigue guideline who are going to make sure that integrative oncology is represented. We're excited that the next guideline is going to be sleep. And so we will be opening nominations for people to be on the panel. And actually, when's Heather giving a talk about that? Tomorrow? Yeah, we're going to have a whole long talk about the guidelines and the process for how people can apply to be on the panel and that kind of thing. So we're also, once our grant from Samueli runs out, we want to keep the guideline process going. So we're working on fundraising efforts for future guidelines. Okay, this is membership. So I think, am I doing this? Yeah, okay. So one of the things we were working on was globalization. I guess this fits under the priorities. So we spent $50,000 on scholarships this year to the conference, some virtual, some in person. And again, this was targeted to our global membership. And so you can see that the largest group there is from Africa, also South Asia, the Middle East, East Asia, and so on around the world. And we have three-time awardees who are recognized there and have become regulars at our conference through this scholarship program. Okay, now we go to membership and finance. That's Anna Maria. From there. Oh, okay. Whatever you like.
Thank you. Next slide, please.
You do it.
Oh, I just do it.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Sorry about that. Been moderating and have not been following directions. So you see our membership numbers. I don't want to go through these with a whole lot of detail. I really would like your thoughts and questions if you have them. So, but primarily our membership is good. You know, everybody talks whenever there's a discrepancy in the numbers that it's related to COVID. Maybe it's related to COVID, but we're very, very keen on our members. So the society is about you, and we want to be as reflective of the society as possible. You see the breakdown of where we are. Something that I think is really remarkable about our organization is we're a global organization. We are a global movement. And something that I'm so proud of is that everything we do with our patients. So this is in very, very close partnership, and we're interprofessional. So it's about team-based care. Another way of looking at the demographics and the changes over time. And you see the global perspective, and so important. And when we think about equity, when we think about diversity of voices, when we think about who's at the table, broad group of people from all over the world. The health of our organization is good, Remember that, again, as reflective as we are about our members, our sources of income are membership dues and conference income. So sometimes, you know, people forget to renew. Please renew. Where we are with the conference, it's expensive to put together a conference. I want to give a big shout out to our advancement team because they are incredible and they do a lot of fundraising, and we're all actually going to take lessons in how to do that better. It's just a breakdown of the costs, and everything we do, we try to make it be a membership benefit. So if you have thoughts on other benefits that you'd like, please let us know. Where we are as of September 30th, you see our total income. And when you see the expenses, and of course, expenses are coming in for the conference because we are at the conference. So our projections, and you see that we're pretty close when you balance the income and the expenses, which is good. We are ahead. The financial update from where we are, we see the registration fees, you see the sponsorship and grants. We had budgeted close to 80,000 for sponsorship and grants. So we really came in ahead. We had also budgeted, I think, about 20,000 for exhibitors. And again, we're ahead. So it's these are good numbers. And you see the related expenses for the conference. Please visit the exhibitors. Thank you for the reminder, Dr. Carlson. Thank you. And we'll mention that you heard a little bit about the Samueli grant funds, and of course, we'll hear more. This has been incredible for the organization to be able to develop the guidelines that you've heard about. You know, we're at a very critical time with integrative oncology, and that is that we are being mainstreamed. And how do we do this? We're part of the guidelines. We're part of NCCN. How we make this transition will be critical for our patients and for us as an organization. You see the donations from the board. We had hoped to be at 100% by this meeting, but we will get there. Oh, thank you. We're very fancy now. We're in the 21st century. So if anybody would like to donate now, there's the QR code. And it's also at the top right hand of our webpage. Donate now. Our bank balances, and you see, again, over time, you see our growth, you see our economic financial health. So overall, we're in good health. Our operating expenses are good. The only set expense is our administrative costs, and we have good assets in store so that we could function if there were some unexpected downfall. So financially, we are healthy. And I think, as everyone always thinks about when we think about finances, is a little bit more of a cushion is always helpful, but we would like to have whatever cushion we have to be of benefit to all of you, to our members. Again, we're a completely member dependent and responsive organization. So one of the things we're looking at is how do we improve our membership? And again, this is really a dialogue if you have thoughts, because membership is only helpful, right, if it's a value to you. Are there ways to do this better? Again, as we think about us being a global organization, should we have this? We're looking at a 3-year membership. May that be helpful to our members? So we think about our growth, but again, growth only as it can be helpful and responsive to member needs. We also do, again, with the advancement team, great work with grant funding, great work with having more exhibitors at the meeting. And you see, we are a little bit closer to normal after COVID, but I suspect that we will be hybrid for a long time. So we need to think about how to do all of this, meet those expenses as we move into whatever the newer normal becomes. So conference income, sponsors and attendees, both in person and online, considering the multi-year membership, looking at how to grow internationally. How valuable are we to you? I think that's a critical question, and we're looking at ways to, would you guys respond to a survey if it were sent out? But on value. On value. So hopefully you would all respond so we could get a better sense of how we can be of value to you. We're also looking at, could we partner memberships so that that would, the world is going integrative. So where would those partnerships be of greatest value to all of you? And looking at, and you'll hear some through our education team, what are the ways that we could bring perhaps educational programming to you? What are the ways, investment, donations, that might be of greater interest to you? And considering future investments, we have many grants for the different committees. Would it be helpful if we raised funds and then provided research opportunities, research development opportunities to you? And are there areas of special interest to you where we could develop special interest group, committees, task forces? So truly feel that this organization is so enriched by each of you, by our membership. So please do reach back with how these are important. Our current committees, our entities, that's the right term. I always use committees, special interest groups, and task forces. And now this goes to.
Great, thank you. No, yeah, I only have one slide, so thank you. So education committee. So basically, we used to have education committee, and for a few years it wasn't very active, so we ended up dissolved it. And last year, we decided it's time to reform the committee, and so a number of people volunteered. We ended up inviting 10 committee members. So we were meeting monthly and has accomplished quite a bit. So my co-chair is Ashwin Mehta. So we first finalized our term of reference and has some major accomplishment. Number one is we want to see how many integrative oncology education programs are there. So we sent out survey, we created this extensive Excel sheets, and Claudia Wheat will talk more about the results tomorrow at the keynote speech. So all in all, we got 18 responses. And then in addition, we have developed 3 integrative oncology workshops. And the highlight is basically we recently just found out that our workshop proposal for ASCO just got accepted. So it's going to be on day 2 of ASCO, the prime time on June 3rd. And the title is How to Make Evidence-Based Integrative Medicine a Part of Everyday Oncology Practice. In addition, Ashwin has worked together with Aaron to put together this international Congress discussion. It's tomorrow morning from 6 to 8. So please join us. And then lastly, we put together, we've been doing this new investigator forum. So that's Wednesday evening, we had this new investigator forum. This year, there were 4 awardees. One is from Hong Kong, one is from Australia, and 2 are from America. So very international. And they're the first Barry Caslett's new investigators. The goal, looking ahead, there's still so much to do. So number one is really to review integrative oncology program and potentially very ambitious, get ready to develop a SIO-sponsored, owned integrative oncology training course, and ultimately lead to board certification. And then in addition, continue conducting integrative oncology workshops at major conferences. And in addition, we're going to work closely with guideline committee and there's people on the pain guideline education module, which I'll talk more about this tomorrow at our plenary session. And then lastly is we decided, it's really important to increase our outreach to new investigators. That's why we want to keep a close tab on our new investigators. They're the future of our society, and provide them mentorship and help them with their career development. That's it.
Since my colleague had to get up, I'll get up.
Here.
Okay, can you sit? Oh, just one slide. So yes, on behalf of the Communications Committee and Co-Chair Tara Behrman, just wanted to highlight what we've been doing for the last year. And is how many in here are aware that we do monthly webinars? Raise your hand. See, that's the problem. So that's one thing we'll definitely focus on. One thing we've been doing was a lot of social media outreach. And so a lot of this content is all free. One, we wanted to establish that we can develop a cadence of good content that's going to help educate and empower patients. And so currently we have an SIO YouTube channel, and we're seeing, what's that? How many know that we have an SIO YouTube channel? Okay, that's better. Okay, good. So, what we want to do, I think one of the things we're recognizing is just there's a lot of variable uptake of social media within SIO, so we shouldn't be relying on that. So we'll go back to email updates, but one of the feedback I got from several attendees here that you're not getting the emails. How many here feel like they're not getting all the emails? See, that's a problem. One thing I noticed, my organization delegates those to spam. So definitely look at your spam folders to see if your organization is putting it that way. I think that's probably the majority of it, but I've heard from some people that it's not. Right. What we do is we have monthly newswire updates authored by Linda Carlson and the group. And so if you're not getting that, please contact us, because we definitely want to troubleshoot that. That's a major problem that we're putting all this effort in here. And about half of our membership isn't even aware of it. So, but just to let you know, our SIO YouTube channel subscribers have doubled now to over 800. Some of the most popular YouTube content is adult young survivors of cancer care. So definitely it seems to be a better venue to reach the younger audience, and also Ayurvedic medicine. So that was a surprise to us as well. So we definitely learn a lot by what gets traction in the community. And we also have seen the most growth over SIO LinkedIn, which we're very interested in, because obviously that's a more professional network, and I think that might have perhaps the most impact. And also we continue to update the website, and right now it already features the new pain guidelines and all the multimedia pieces that go with it. Currently we have 117 published videos in the library. And also we also have Santosh Rao and Judith Lacey's excellent integrative oncology talk. It's top rated on the Apple Store, and it's getting a lot of traction now on YouTube now that's gone to video format. Is that the only slide? Yeah, so I just want to mention that one of the goals that we've been talking on board is education. So definitely that's going to be a focus for us. One of the things we'd like to do, we've learned from our Korean colleagues and our Italian colleagues that they already have some form of certification. So certainly we don't have to reinvent the wheel, and we're looking forward to developing that here in the US. Thank you.
Okay. I'll quickly review research. This is working. Yeah. Okay. So we had a great meeting this morning, actually, at our research roundtable with quite a few new people who were keen and lots of ideas. So this year, the research committee, as I said, I think earlier, did 2 publications. So this is the second publication that's come out recently, called Cancer-Related Fatigue Outcome Measures in Integrative Oncology, Evidence for Practice and Research Recommendations. So it would be great if you guys all look it up and share it around. The research committee meets monthly. They've had to change their meeting time. It's actually quite a large committee. I think 20 some odd people on the roster, but it's difficult to get a group of more than 5 to 10 together at once. So they're juggling that around a bit. And I should say too, if anyone in the audience has an interest in joining any of these committees, you can just express interest to us, and basically then you're on the committee if you're an SIO member. So the manuscript writing that the research committee's been doing is really a good way to engage junior members. So, often the outline will be brainstormed at the meeting, and then more junior members will go off and do a bit of the outlining and the writing, and then get that authorship. So we have really great international representation in the research committee, including Brazil, Israel, Germany. This morning we had a fellow from Hungary also attending. And so it's been really exciting to see that growth, and a woman from Brazil. And we've also integrated both the DEI committee representatives and patient advocate representation across all the projects, and also as part of the committee. And that's part of our overall strategy to make sure that all our entities have input from the patient advocates about their priorities and their feedback, and also consider everything from a DEI lens as well. Okay, turn it over to Jody.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. So first of all, Patient Advocate Committee, we call ourselves PAC. PAC is so grateful to SIO leadership through the years for supporting us and getting behind our initiatives. And we have been able to connect with other organizations that have the patient's ear and advocacy organizations and partner with them. And when we do events, we have members of the board and the EC who come and present with us to bring educational awareness of evidence-based integrative oncology to people with cancer, to caregivers, and to their families. And so all of the priorities that you have heard so far, a PAC member is involved, at least one of us is involved in them. From the guidelines panels, we have a patient representative on at least 2 of those so far, and that will continue. And nearly every SIO entity, we still have some more to go. Can someone advance to the next slide, please? Thank you. So we are developing, and this has momentum, a patient advocate special interest group. So our patient advocate committee has a limit of number of members. And at the moment, we are collecting and inviting more advocates, including international. We have 2 from Nigeria who want to join as a result of the scholarships that they received virtually. And some of them have been following SIO for 3 years or so, and we've developed relationships with them, and we want to understand what is it like for a patient in Nigeria, for example, and what needs do you have, and what traditions and healing medicine systems do you have already in place that we can learn from as well. And so everything we want to do in this patient advocate special interest group is to do it with, we say, a DEI lens, but we want to be inclusive. We want to have a diverse representation internationally, as well as racially, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, as well as some cancer communities who are maybe not well represented yet in SIO, including adolescent and young adult cancer survivors who bear such a heavy burden symptomatically. And my new co-chair, Dr. Julie DeLeemans, is herself an AYA survivor. And so we are supporting every part of SIO's mission. And I think this is a unique organization that we get to do this. And I just want to say thank you. And if you have any questions for us, a lot of us are involved in research as well. Please ask us. Thank you.
All right, let's talk about advancement. So this was created as a task force, and it's now a committee as of the last board meeting, really because we wanted to support all of you. We wanted to support our committees, our SIGs, our patient advocates, our practitioners, our researchers, to do the research, the practice they want to do. And so our job is to really partner with all of you to figure out what those projects are and help support them. So things that advancement has supported is guidelines. Other things are these scholarships. We really want to train, that's our mission, train the next generation of practitioners, train the next generation of researchers. It's our job to do that. If we don't train them, it won't happen. And now's the time, as Ana Maria Lopez said, right? Now's the time where we're partnering with ASCO. We are really at a key moment where we have a lot of evidence-based medicine in our field that we can publish and we can share and recommend guidelines and recommend things that people should do. So the things that we try to support currently are patient advocate scholarships, even registration discounts for international or low-income individuals. We like to do plant-based approaches. And so we really, like in the medical oncology world, where we depend on our colleagues in the pharma world, we really depend on our marketing here and want to work with our companies, both for trials, research for our patients, and for support for this conference. So we are grateful to all of our exhibitors who support having this conference. So please visit them. We also want to talk a little bit about SIO or legacy giving. So we're getting more and more international, and I've had a few people come up to me and say, hey, when I pass away, I would like some of my estate given to SIO. How do I do that? And so we're expanding how we say, thank you. You agree with this mission. You want to pass it on after you're gone. And we want to do what you'd like to do. And the other thing, when I see that donate now at general advancement activities, I'm like, where does that money going? I don't really want it to go over there. I want it to go over here. So if you have something you're passionate about, talk to me, talk to the advancement group, join us and say, hey, this is a project I want to do and I want my money to go here because I'm really passionate about this. And I think we can make a difference. And then we originally were sort of like not interacting with pharma, but they have a lot of money and they support a lot of research. And so we found ways that are okay with our patient advocates, okay with academics and the rules around that in terms of them supporting different grants for our research. So right now we have an AbbVie Foundation pending a grant. And then we really want to honor those that have come before us and helped pave the way, such as the Barry Catalyst Memorial Scholarship. So those are new. And I think there'll be more of those in time of just really memorializing key pioneers in our field that we want to support and want to continue their legacy. So thank you. Please join us.
I think I'm going to talk about the global task force, and a couple of the previous speakers have alluded to this, that spreading our voice globally and learning from each other with our global partners and colleagues is very important to this organization. It is an international organization, and we have done some things in that effort already. So listed as the Global Task Force, and we thank you for your work. And one of the things that's been done that is planned to be expanded is an ambassador program. So Dr. Eran Ben-Aryeh was the first regional ambassador in the Middle East and Europe. And then we had 3 national ambassadors that are also regional and, chosen for specific locations around the world. Catherine Zolman in the UK, Judith Lacey in Australia, and Ricardo Gelman in Brazil. And they are basically helping to get more members into SIO, as well as more activity through these regional focuses. Within this conference, we've also designed a hybrid international track highlighting integrative oncology medical education. I think that, first of all, the international session will focus, as many people have said, on education. That has been a real highlight over the last 3 or 4 years. Every year there's a different focus, and we usually get great involvement and speakers. I think the fact that we have virtual programming gives us unique opportunities to reach even more members internationally. There's now an international tab on the SIO website, thanks to Eugene and Jody, as well as Morgan and Graham. And then we're including more international members in our SIO projects, the Clinical Guideline Committee with PAIN, SIO task forces, as mentioned, and various committees and SIGs. And these are just, listing some of the qualifications of some of our ambassadors. And then there's thoughts and opportunities for future regional ambassadors as listed there. The bottom line is that we want to reach out and find ways to reach people around the world. And given that integrative oncology, a lot of it is cultural based, I think this is very important. And we've heard some thoughts, but if anybody has more thoughts on this or wants to engage on this, let us know.
Hi, thank you. I first want to acknowledge Dr. Eleanor Walker. Please stand. And Jody, of course, who really none of this work could not have happened without the 2 of them, and with all of the members of the committee. So really grateful to have that opportunity to work together. What is health equity really about? Health equity is really about everybody in this room taking up that charge. And we don't have the corner on it at all. So our commitment, first of all, is to self-education. We're constantly learning about it. We then offer learnings that we can share with the board, with the members, so that we are all in this process of improvement. We have an upcoming book club post meeting, so please look for that so we can join in the virtual conversation. And where did we begin? We're evidence-based. We began with data. Let's look together who are we? And we'll have a presentation on this, and we had a poster that related to some of this, but who are we, who's not here, and then where do we need to be? We did move to being a committee in the last year. Our goal, because it is about all of us, is to integrate. So we want to partner. We want to partner with all our members. We want to partner with all our committees. We want to partner with all the task forces, because there's an aspect of equity in everything we do. And we also have the strong commitment that we cannot achieve quality care if we are not considering how to do it equitably. So if we are fans of quality, as we are, then we must be fans of equity. We partner very much with communications. We are establishing monthly social media comments, Twitter chats. I mentioned the book club. We're working on workshops, presentations, Best of SIO, posters. We contributed, so grateful to have been able to contribute to the land acknowledgement statement, to the health equity statement. I'm sure you've seen the scrolling slides to really honor the communities from whence these practices come. And again, just a very, I should say the pronoun ribbons, the welcome here poster, those are really examples of what we have learned and what we are bringing actively back to the group. But I really want to acknowledge the committee and all of you for all of your help in moving this forward. Thank you.
All right, so I think everyone's heard by now, but before we move on to this, I was just reminded when Anna Maria was talking that I think I overlooked when I did the research committee to thank and acknowledge the co-chairs, who are Viraj Master, who's right there, I think, and Shelley Wang, who I think is online. So thank you so much, Viraj and Shelley, for your work in leading that research committee. Sorry to have overlooked that. All right, so next year, I love how Graham has put little SIO flags in all of these. You see, look at that at the top of the mountain. So next year, we're going to be for our 20th anniversary in Banff, which is where I live. I live actually in a town called Canmore that's 20 minutes outside of Banff, between Calgary and Banff. This is Moraine Lake, actually, which is at Lake Louise, which is about 20 minutes further west from Banff. So we're super excited to have everybody come to Canada and visit us there. And I'm going to make y'all go hiking. I'm warning you now, or I'll give you the option to go hiking. And so we have a wonderful 20th anniversary program planned as well. And in fact, even today, I think we mentioned yesterday that Lee Leibel is interviewing some of our past presidents and key people to make a really nice 20th anniversary kind of reflection sort of video. So we're going to have that. And we're also going to have a wonderful booklet that Ting and Jody have been putting together this year with written reflections and photos and that sort of thing. Do you want me to do this one? Oh, all right. Well, Rich Lee, we have to thank Rich for stepping up and offering to host our 2024 conference, which is going to be in Irvine, California, hosted by the City of Hope Comprehensive Cancer Center. See, there's a little SIO flag on the beach. And really, Rich has already stepped up and we have a hotel booked. He's already talking about themes and a conference committee and different facilities we're going to be able to use. So this is really going to be great to get out in the sun and visit the West Coast, because there's also a lot of people practicing integrative oncology in Southern California. So we're really hoping to engage that community when we go there. And I'm sure you've already heard this, but ta-da, we are going to Italy in 2025. And this again is part of our commitment to international outreach and participation. And there we are at the top of, I don't know what that building is, but we got the flag there. And so we're partnering with Massimo, who is here, and his group, ARTOI. So that's the Italian Integrative Oncology Society, and they have hosted several successful conferences already in Europe. And so we're confident that this partnership is going to be fabulous. So in 2025, we'll be going to Italy, and we'll also have online option for, recognizing that not everybody's going to be able to travel, but I'm really looking forward to that. And we are also part of our mission to planning a bit more in advance is that we are applying for a grant, R13 grant that supports conferences for 5 years in a row. So we're trying to plan 5 years out for our conferences, so everybody can make plans and we can really have everything organized well in advance. I think this is yours.
Yeah, and we hope that this conference in Italy is going to be as amazing as we think it is, because that's something that we'll probably try to do again. Yeah, every few years around the world. I mean, people talk to us. We've had a couple people talk to us already, but if you are from another country and you think that this would be successful, just talk to us, because that's something on our minds. In terms of our future goals, I mean, we talked about this a bit yesterday. So we have a board retreat on Wednesdays, and we talked a lot about the future of SIO within that board retreat. In preparation for this meeting, I actually asked everybody from all the committees, all the chairs, what they wanted to do in the future. And I got a lot of opinions. So this is just a snippet, actually, but I do want everybody to think about this, because I think that there's a lot of good work that we can do. I think these are 3 areas, and I'll hit the highlights on this, but one that I would like to add that we just talked about is membership and expansion globally. I think that's really, really important, and it kind of adds to the whole matrix of what we're doing. Oh, it's there. Okay, so education. Ting talked about this. I think this is an area that we're going to really focus on. I think there's opportunities, whether we do the certification program or not. There seems to be a lot of support for that. And we're just doing the groundwork right now to figure out funding for that and the logistics. Obviously, we do a lot of webinars. We would like to continue to do that, maybe boost the reach of our webinars. And, Eugene talked a little bit about that. And then, we've talked about the other areas as well. In terms of research, I think that the organization has already been really engaged with some things in terms of the guidelines and highlighting the quality of research and implementation of some of that research in practice, working with our advocacy groups. I think a development that has been very promising is the research funding, because that allows us to take our organization and really enhance people's ability to get things done wherever they are. And so, hopefully that continues, as well as the open access funding. And then one of the areas that we really think that we can really focus on is mentorship. Maybe doing a better job with our trainees, our junior faculty, and partnering them with mentors. There's a lot of support for that. And then more on the clinical side is getting more organized with what we consider best practices. Now that we have all these guidelines, I think the expectation is the next step is to implement those guidelines. And part of that is best practices, as well as models of care in integrative oncology. Many of us can learn from each other, both here and internationally. And then in terms of networking, enhancing our member communications, we talked about global membership and international, as well as domestic partnerships. We've had some successful partnerships with British Society for Integrative Oncology as an example. And I feel like that's one of the ways to go for us to grow our international partnerships. And there's other integrative oncology societies around the world. And again, we want your feedback. So this was there before. You can look at the QR code.
And that's it for the formal presentation. So we have got a bit of time for questions from you guys. So please feel free to step up to the mics. Or, has anyone got a laptop for online questions? We forgot to do that. Okay, so I don't know, Morgan, if you can look in the back, there's nothing online. Okay, so we'll go to the mic.
Hi, good morning. I'm Elizabeth Ennis. I'm a general internist and I practice in Maine, and I've been embedded in a community, sort of a hybrid community oncology program for the past 3 years. I was brought on to develop a cancer survivorship program. And I've been a team of 1 for most of that time, but I now am a team of 2, so I'm making gains. But so I sort of stumbled upon this this meeting because we have no integrative we have no integrative oncology practice, I would say, within our center. And as a previous PCP, I was very commonly referring people to all sorts of integrative care. So anyway, kind of stumbled. So brand new person coming to the conference for the first time, not a member, because I said, I want to put my toe in the water and go to this conference and, hey, does this make sense? Which now it's clearly making sense that I will become a member.
But a few things that may be, well, helpful to me and maybe hopefully helpful to other people. So a ton of information has been covered thus far and slides are flying back really fast. And I have in the past taken copious notes, but then you've sort of missed things and yada, yada, and people are taking pictures. So one question, are slides going to be available? I'm hoping. I think as a new person coming into this, that would be super, super helpful for me. Another thing is, as I belong to this little grassroots, it's called the CSPN, Cancer Survivor Provider Network, that's based in the Seattle area. And they have recently, or we, I guess, have recently changed our platform, and each member can is invited to put a little bio about themselves with our picture, and we can, it's been wonderful for connecting with people. So, you know, what do? You can pose questions and blog, and I'm in my 50s, I'll blog, blah, 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 I don't know. But anyway, but it's been super duper helpful. And I don't know, I was just looking at your website a little bit as people were talking, and I saw that you could like select by country, but I have found that other format to be really, really easy. So just something tangible that maybe you would want to consider. And then as far as training goes, you're talking about mentorship for the young people. And I think all that's really important, but think about older people that are in my position. You know, I am the internist in a group of very data-driven medical oncologists. And I think that this is really important for patients, but I am going to need some credibility as I bring this to my colleagues. So if I am at this point in my career looking for some training, how would I go about even figuring out what makes sense? And then are there mentors available for people that are not, you know, in their 20s? So-
Okay, so Ting, I'm going to let you take that question from the Education Committee. The first question about the slides, I don't know, Morgan or Graham, are we asking speakers for permission to share their slides? We are. So we will, and will they be on the members only or only for people who registered, or how are we going to do it? Okay, and so that brings me to the members only section of the website. And how many people who are members have ever signed into the members only section? A few of you. So that is certainly something we could do as a project, was to have a profile where you could, I actually don't know how much information we have there on members, but I've seen on other sites, like she's describing, where you can put up your picture and add your own profile, and, you know, then you can browse the other members. So that certainly is something we could do. And maybe Eugene, you could talk, you know, through communications around that. And then Ting, I'll let you address the one around training.
Sure. So the integrative oncology training program, I think, is not limited to new investigator. The new investigator forum, that's more for research. But I acknowledge maybe we can open it up to others later.
Well, and I think it just in terms of like what we're going to develop, right? We would want to,
Right.
you know, consult with people. I'm sorry, I don't recall the name of the person who asked the question, but, you know, that might be really important to consult with our stakeholders about what kind of educational.
I see. Yeah. So among our group, we talked a lot, and I think, you know, it's not limited to new investigator. It's open to all comers and all kinds of sort of care providers at different level. Although we probably need to focus to start with somewhere. So that's why we actually tagging team with Susie. I was looking for her. So Susie Zick from University of Michigan actually had successfully had a R25 to educate, I think usually the MDs, like PM, primary care doctor, et cetera. All kinds of, right, all kinds of oncology providers. So that's actually where we're going to start. So we're going to have a 5-year sort of plan and potentially adapt that training program into sort of SIO sponsored training program for providers.
Yeah, you know, and I think if you're keen on having some input around this, there's probably, you know, either going to be a consultation through the Education Committee, or even think about joining one of the committees that's most relevant to your interests.
Yeah, we're wide open. So yeah, feel free to send contact me with any comments. So my email is baot@mskcc.org. Thank you.
And just to speak to your question, there is a clinical practice committee committee. I'm not sure it's a task, but and that might speak a lot to your interests. And in the Health Equity Committee, we were also talking about developing patient handouts and making them culturally accessible. So that might also be of interest. Thank you.
Yes, hi. My name is Johan and I'm part of Styles Yoga interest group. And one of the things that I believe that as a suggestion to improve our experience, I don't know, we're thinking about in these terms of inclusivity and global expansion, including translators during at least keynotes at speakers. I think that would be great, just to have a few translators, I guess, in the main languages. Some of the information is super important, and I think that that will engage even more people to participate, even online, or if translators are here and you get, added audio or something, that would be really great. We can source even the volunteers within the association. I can always volunteer for Spanish too. Of course, you will have some experience in oncology as well, of course, by translating, but I think that that's something really important too. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's great. And we'll look into that. Thank you. That's
I
a
think
great
this will be the
idea.
last question and comment.
Okay, yeah, just a quick one. Question and probably a comment. My name is Philip Odio from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm a clinical psycho-oncologist. And my question is, I'm really interested in the global expansion and mostly in Africa. So just exploring ways, I think for me, I think somebody mentioned there at the pioneer stage. So a lot of us are at the pioneer stage where you're really introducing integrative oncology into the clinical practice. So really exploring, and I didn't see that there, but an opportunity to probably organize training specifically for medical personnel and nurses. I think I see nursing as a low-hanging fruit. And some of the programs that we've talked about, pain management, will be a good way to actually organize a targeted training specifically for Africa, because we can have a training in America, but probably it's not really targeted to the specific needs in Africa. So having a targeted training for Africa and other low and middle income countries. And I believe if we do that, then we'll be able also to increase participation and awareness from for people from Africa and other low and middle income countries. Thank you.
And that's a great suggestion. And I'm just wondering, Philip, are you part of the global committee?
Yes, I am.
You are, yeah. So that
Yes.
might be a really good place to start with global, and then, working together with education. And, we need to, start small and maybe set up some online trainings or local things. But yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. So I think the way to make things actually sort of move through the process from ideas to, action is to, get on one of those committees and start working on the details.
Thank you.
I
you.
also just wanted to suggest that you might want to talk to Ashwin, who is the co-chair for education,
Yeah.
because he's doing nursing education
Okay.
through the through Flasco.
Thank you.
So
All right, well, it's time for lunch. And so I've got a note here that lunch will be on the lawn out back where breakfast was. But be back here. You can grab your lunch and bring it back in here to finish it by 12:30. And we have a lunchtime speaker, which I believe is about burnout in clinicians. Yeah, so don't be burnt out and come back and join the talk.